Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the members on the podium, persons on the live, and to you, our beautiful constituents. May I have your undivided attention, please? NNPites. Before we bring this meeting to order, I ask you to take a moment of silence to reflect on all the things that the new National Party has done for you, for us. A moment to think back on the many years of service that Dr. Mitchell has given to this beautiful constituency and by extension, Grenada. Do you know why? I think Tara, the governor, said it best. The answer is love, and rightly so. It is because of his love for you, the people of St. George's Northwest, that he is here, standing his ground in the midst of propaganda and lies. I now call on Pastor Lewis to open us in prayer.
Let us all stand. Thank you. Almighty God, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness for Grenada, Carriacou, and Pidimatnik. At this time, O God, we are crying because Grenada is experiencing its darkest hour. After years of economic growth, after years of prosperity, after years of proper stabilization of our country, after years of love, after years of proper representation, Grenada has plunged into darkness. We ask you, God, to have mercy upon this beautiful island. An island that was once recognized throughout the Caribbean. An island where people enjoyed the best of what we have. But now, oh God, each day the people are crying, how long will it last? How long will it last? We remember the days of old when people used to enjoy being a Grenadian, when our economy was blooming, then people was buying. Our infrastructure was strong, but now it take a plunge under a bunch of incompetent people. Have mercy on us. But we ask the question, oh God, how long will it continue? And I can hear you are saying to us, there is an expiry date. And that's the reason why we gather here this afternoon, Almighty God, to put machinery in place for that rescue mission to rescue Grenada, Carriacou, and Pidimatnik. So I bring all our leaders here this afternoon, oh God. We ask you, God, to touch everyone. We ask you, God, to put words in the mouth that they may speak, oh God. And as they plan for that rescue mission, grant each and every one of them knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And as we gather here, Lord, help everything that will be done here this afternoon will be done in decency and in order. We thank you, God, for taking many of us from one part of Grenada to the other part safe. And we ask you, God, to bless us. We ask you, God, to let this meeting be a success, as in every meeting. Bless our heart. In Jesus' name, may everybody please say amen and amen.
Thank you, Pastor Lewis. One thing that I know is that the God that we serve never leaves his people alone. This is just for a time. We will rescue Grenada. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this evening. Thank you for joining us for this important meeting. We're here to engage and bring light to you in regards to the issues that are affecting our country. At this time, I invite one of your very own to say a few words, Mr. Cecile Redhead.
Good night, NNPites. I'm happy to open the batting. All my life I've been an open batsman. Doc could testify to that. Ask Legs. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to you a little, for the last few seconds or so, about commitment. Grenadians, have you noticed that there are no more commitment in this country? Slackness, slothfulness from top to bottom. But I want to say here, when I look at the crowd, look at your response, we sung sort of a call. Let me tell you something, NNPites. We have nothing to be ashamed of. Do you know that the oldest government in this country with a pass mark is the NNP? Everyone else has failed us. The oldest party, the oldest government Grenadians can be resting in peace with is when the NNP is around. You hear the cry all around. Oh boy, if it was the NNP. Only if it was Dr. Mitchell, things will be better. Things happen, and I'm not convinced, and nobody could convince me, that what took place in this country 2 years ago was for a purpose. But what I want you to do is to not let us lose faith and be committed. Ladies and gentlemen, NNPites, if there was a time we ought to be committed, it's today. You see, we are a chosen people, for God's sake. And it is said, the hotter the battle, the sweeter the victory. NNP shall rise again. I'm talking commitment here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because it seems as though we've gone cold feet. It seems as though we've gone into hiding. And I want to tell you, there's nothing that we should hang our heads on. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Cecil Redhead, was the first NNP in prison. And I want to promise you, Doc, that I will be the last. It's nowhere. We're giving up. Because you see, as I said earlier on, we are the group We are the organization with the pass mark. And when a man knows that he can pass the test, he could never walk with his head down. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, rekindle your commitment for your party and government. One day, it is said that weeping endureth for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. As I leave you, as I said in the beginning, I'm happy to open the batting, but I know there are some hard hitters coming. So let's sit back and open our minds, open our longings. It doesn't matter where we are at now. Forget about where we are at now. Take a long look for tomorrow and for that next glorious day. Have a good night. Be committed. I thank you.
These were indeed words from the heart. Give him a round of applause again. NNP 8. I implore you, do not be afraid to stand up, to speak up, and to defend your party. Stay the course. And as Brother Cecile said, stay committed. Brothers and sisters, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Nimrod Oliver, a dedicated leader and advocate for his community with a strong passion for service and a vision for positive change.
Pleasant good night to our political leader and former Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Honorable Peter David, Honorable Emmeline Pierre, the lovely people, Tongue of St. George, the beautiful people, St. George's Northwest, and to my hard-working, committed people of St. George's Northeast. And to all the other visitors that are here, welcome. Tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about national security and our youths, our young people. But I want to begin by zeroing in on the rise in crime and the demoralization that now exists within the Royal Grenada Police Force. It is no secret, it is very evident that crime in Grenada today has been on the rise since the last election. We are witnessing a troubling increase in criminal activities across our communities. The root of this issue is not just the action of a few, but rather it's a systematic breakdown of law enforcement in Grenada. We sounded the alarm very, very early. I remember our political leader speaking about it. I spoke about it. Others continue to speak about it. The political interference in the Royal Grenada Police Force is at the heart of the problem that we're seeing today. There's something called meritocracy, which is the principle where people are hired, promoted, and rewarded based on their abilities and performance. Today, that principle has been eroded in our police force. The National Democratic Congress, somehow in the infamous wisdom, decided that they could run the police force based on political affiliation. And that has caused us tremendous decay that is at the heart of the problem that we are seeing today. Officers are being hired and fired and promoted based on political affiliations, not on their qualification and their dedication. Favoritism has caused a widespread drop in morale among our police officers. Imagine you take the sister island of Carriacou, a seasoned veteran officer, and you have the minister up there saying to the police commissioner in the officer's presence, I don't want him here. Send him back to Grenada. And it gets better. That officer in question, his brother, is a sitting MP. He's a minister of government. But the minister in Carriacou is giving instruction to the police commissioner. And true to form, that officer was on the boat back to Grenada that very said day. I've been around the police force in Grenada here a very long time, during NNP time. And I've never seen Dr. Mitchell, Honorable Peter David, Honorable Emmeline Pierre, or any other government minister give police officers direct instructions. And for the minister to give direct instructions to police officers as regarding where he want them stationed and what he need them to do and who should carry load and who should lift and who shouldn't lift. And for the police commissioner not to stand up for his officer shows that we have a very, very weak police commissioner in Grenada. But it gets better. When another senior officer spoke up and said, Mr. Minister, with all due respect, you cannot be giving my officers instructions. You should come to the police commissioner or in the very least have a conversation with me. But you shouldn't be deploying my minister and moving them when we assign them. You know what happened with he also? He was sent down from Carriacou back to Grenada. I'm giving you the examples to show what we are dealing with in Grenada here today. I can tell you, when promotions and transfers are based on politics, it breaks the spirit of the hard-working, dedicated officers who wants to serve Grenada honorably. The lack of a rigorous induction program means we are being inexperienced officers into the force that's already struggling. So you have a force that's struggling, and we are bringing in inexperienced officers to do the job, creating a situation for chaos. And the resulting factor is that we have a diminishing effectiveness within our police force. But I want to stand here tonight and tell you, each and every one of us has work to do so that the NNP could win the next general elections. And in so doing, we would restore our commitment to our police officers. The new National Party is committed to restoring the dignity to our police force. When we return to governance, we will ensure that meritocracy is the foundation of all promotions and hirings. We will work to rebuild the trust and motivation within the force providing proper training, mentorship, and resources for all our officers to serve with pride and effectiveness. I'll talk to you a little bit about our young people. You know, in the past, police officers has always served as a sort of mentors for our young people. They help mentor our youths. You don't see it all the time, you don't see it on the camera, but I can tell you, it's done on a daily basis. But what you find out, because the morale is so low among our officers, and because they themselves need help and they need some counseling, they are not really mentoring our youths. And we find, because there's such challenges for our youth right now, since the last election, 2.5 years ago, we've had 3, I repeat, 3 minister youths. So what that is telling you, our youths are facing an uncertain future. How can we look for any sort of meaningful progress when there's not even stability among the government regarding our youths? From that 3 officers, from that 3 ministers, we know 2 were ultimately fired. So we don't know what's going to happen to number 2, whoever is the youth officer right now. We don't know if ultimately that person might get fired too, because we see in the Ministry of Youth where that trend is going. The new National Party had a vibrant program, mainly in the Imani program. There were other youth programs like Project Fly and Empower. But the Imani program was indeed a hallmark, a brainchild of the new National Party, and it was developed over the years to the point where other countries adopted parts of our program. What did this administration do? Since coming into office, they halted the Imani program. So all the promises made to our youths during the campaign have been broken. Our young people are disillusioned and worried about the future. The future is bleak. And what we find, more and more our youths are appearing to be hopeless and are resorting to gambling and drinking. And the administration does not seem to recognize that, because so far they have not put any programs in place to help rescue the youth. But I say to you again, let's do the work so that the new National Party will regain governance in this country so that we can rescue our young people in this nation. You know, the NNP youth agenda was very strong and positive. The new National Party always believed in the power and potential of our young people. We remain committed to reuniting the Imani program and putting in place a clear, sustainable youth development agenda. To our youths tonight, I want to say to you, when we return to power, you will be given priority through education, job creation, and programs that will provide you with the skills and opportunities to succeed. Brothers and sisters, the new National Party is committed to restoring dignity and trust. We will restore honor and dignity in our police force. We will ensure our officers are supported properly. We will train them properly, and we will make sure that they are promoted based on merit, not on what color jersey they want to wear. A motivated, well-trained police force is the backbone of a safe and prosperous Grenada. The youths are the future of Grenada. We will make them a top priority. The NNP is committed to building a brighter future for young people, one where they are given opportunity to thrive and contribute and lead. We will embolden our young people to become leaders in this beautiful land of ours. And as you can see, the NNP has already started with our young MC right here. And you know, there's many more like her, so we will embrace them and bring them up through the ranks. We won't just campaign on it, we will make sure that it's done. Brothers and sisters, before I leave, I want to say to you, the new National Party is ready to return to governance with a clear plan to address the challenges we face today. We will work tirelessly to bring stability, security, and opportunity to our nation. Together, we can restore pride in our institutions, safety in our communities, and hope for our youths. I want to say to the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister of this country, the buck ultimately stops with you. So if you have your ministers directing the police commission, giving the police commissioner instructions, it shows that you are not an effective leader. And if you cannot control your ministers and or even pick a commissioner with a backbone that would stand up for its police officers, then do the right thing. Call the election so that we can ensure that men and women that love Grenada and can lead takes governance for this country so that we can continue the work that was started, because Grenada is tired of being the laughing stock around the Caribbean, and we need to put an end to it. So to you, Minister of National Security and Prime Minister, if you cannot take care of your national security, then you cannot take care of this country, because national security is everything that this country needs in order for the other sectors to work. Brothers and sisters, let us continue with the registration. Let us continue to talk to our young ones that are just becoming of the voting age. Let us not hesitate to point out to them the ills and the incompetence of this NDC administration. It's 2.5 years, and we are struggling. We need to ensure that we win the next election. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't say to my brothers and sisters in Carriacou, and I know Pastor Lewis wouldn't forgive me, the new National Party is standing with you. We will do everything in our power to ensure Carriacou rightly gets what's deserving of them. Let us all remain focused, and like the first speaker said, committed to the new National Party. Let us spread the word about these meetings. Let us spread the positive messages that comes from these meetings, from the Honorable Peter David, Honorable NNP, and our beloved political leader and former Prime Minister. It's much easier to spread the negative thing that the other side wants us to talk about, but that's not our job. The reason why they're spreading the negative things is because they have nothing positive to spread. But we cannot help them spread it. We have our own messages because we have to rescue Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Thank you, Brother Nimrod. I listened to you, and I'm a bit baffled, you know, because you know you're in a terrible state when any and anybody can pass orders to our police force. The people that is called upon to protect and serve, you know, so we can't feel safe. Brothers and sisters, we cannot take this lightly. And I was sitting there and I laughed because gone are the days when qualifications is what was needed for promotion. Because back in school, we were told that CXC subjects was required. But it's like, them people lie to us. No, because people get in promotion left, right, and center without meeting the requirements. And the qualified persons, listen that, the qualified persons, they are not being recognized, all because of political affiliations. Brothers and sisters, we're in a very, very sad time. Brothers and sisters, we will continue, and we will rescue these policemen from under this government. It is my honor to introduce an esteemed member of Parliament and an advocate for the people of the town of St. George. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Honorable Peter David.
A pleasant good evening to everybody. From a political leader, Sister Pierre, my brother Nimrod. I know Kami. Kami on the floor. It's a pleasure to be in Northwest St. George's this evening, and I want to thank all of you for having me. See my good friend, Pastor and Sister Waldron, I want to recognize them, and my brother Bello, all the way from the Northeast. Comrades have traveled far. Let's give them a round of applause for being here with us this evening. Brothers and sisters, your presence here this evening demonstrates a commitment. I think the first speaker, the cricketer, started his comments by talking about commitment. I think your presence here this evening demonstrates that you have a commitment to this party. But your commitment to this party is not simply a commitment to the party. It's expected that that commitment is a commitment to the country, to Grenada. And as my brother Nimrod ended his speech, there's all kinds of noise in the marketplace, all kinds of noise, all kinds of talk. In fact, these days with Facebook and Twitter and all of that, you don't know what is truth and what is not truth. All I can say to people is that we need to focus our thoughts on how we come together to build this country. It is my view that the new National Party is the best vehicle, has been the best vehicle to develop this country. There's no doubt about that. As I go around the place, you know, I meet farmers, workers, businessmen, teachers, public servants, and all of them in unison say one thing: we are in trouble. The fact is that this government has been underperforming from the beginning. The incompetence. But the fact is, you know, I am not one to always be criticizing because I believe we have to find solutions. But the fact is, and I think one of the biggest problems, and I say this to them all the time in the parliament. You have years of experience among the leadership of the NNP, years upon years. I remember in the campaign I used to say, when NNP was out of people always used to say, boy, if it was the NNP. The fact is that we have offered them advice over and over, but they refuse to listen. And I think that is the major problem. Dr. Mitchell is well known for the proper running of this economy. Nobody can doubt that. So why aren't they listening? Simple arrogance. A refusal to accept that there are good ideas coming from the NNP. You won the elections already. You don't have to worry about the NNP. Let us focus on building Grenada. No party will win all elections. That's not how the system is. But the party that is in opposition has a duty, a responsibility to offer ideas. And the government has a duty and a responsibility to consider these ideas. But you know, our experience in Parliament, look recently at Parliament. It was clear that there's a refusal to even consider anything said by the opposition. And they will pay a price for that. Because at the end of the day, no government knows everything. I believe, brothers and sisters, that this party, the New National Party, is the party that will take this country forward. I believe that. This party represents the workers. This party represents workers, not only the urban workers, but the rural workers. This party represents farmers. I had a conversation with a few businessmen last week. Businessmen are saying things are slow. We're crying about prices. They're crying about income. The truth is, everybody bawling. Everybody is saying that we are in trouble. The business community, the farmers, the workers are all saying that we need change in this country. Brothers and sisters, a big issue is cost of living. I don't know how some people making it. I mean, I make a decent living. I mean, I ain't rich, but I ain't broke either. But when I go to the supermarket, if I walk with less than $300, I ain't leaving there with nothing. And that's some people's salary for a week. Some people's salary is $600 and $800 a month. I don't know how they're making it. How they're taking care of their kids. How they're providing what kids, and you know, things these days, you know, the kids these days want stuff. Because I've seen it on the internet. I empathize with mothers who have to face that. And we have to address these concerns. Nobody is saying you'll make it perfect, but don't tell us that everything is good when we know everything is not good. We feel it, everything is not good. Cost of living is a serious problem. Agriculture, the farmers. You know, Beryl hit the farmers hard a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago. To date, the farmers have not seen the rescue from this government. I advocate that we sit with the farmers. Look at the marketing board. Big issue in the campaign, marketing board, we're coming in, we're going to restructure. Tell me when last you hear about the marketing board. Ask the farmers. And a big issue for the farmers is markets, labor. Are we providing adequate labor? Unless you provide good labor, farmers will not be able to produce. That is a fact. Brothers and sisters, the issues in agriculture must be addressed. You know, when they got in, they got millions of dollars from CBI. You know, I always like to talk about CBI because, you know, I use the example, Dr. Mitchell, of the hotel in St. David's. When we were in government, the government under the leadership of Doc brought in several investors, including the Range Hotel and the Intercontinental Hotel in St. David. And the people of St. David's were really happy. The opposition at the time campaigned hard against that project. They talk about we're going to what? There's a salt pond that we're destroying. Nothing so. They persuade and the crew march into the place to stop the project. Almighty God, I went to the opening of the hotel the other day, a nice hotel, and who was there drinking more wine than anybody? The same people who fight down the project. They fight down the project in Sept with the hotel, but they were there, and this was a product of CBI. And you remember they used to cut CBI. Oh, Keith Mitchell only selling passports, NNP only selling passports. Who's selling more passports now? Who's selling more now? That is why, sometimes people just want to cost politicians, They say one thing one time and the next thing and next time. That's why politicians have such a bad name. If something good is good, CBI under the NNP led to a good stream of income that led to a lot of good projects. Full stop. But the opposition didn't like it, so they cussed it, but now they embrace it more than anybody. In agriculture, the availability of land is a problem. When the NNP was in office, we started a project called the Land Bank, where we were putting all the land into a bank, as we called it, private sector, public sector. So if you want a farm, you'll need land for the farm, you come, you talk, we find markets for you, we find resources for you to start the farm. These were some of the ideas that the NNP had. And they were good ideas. But because they were NNP ideas, they no longer have them happening. Brothers and sisters, carry a coup. I will be brief tonight because there are some speakers after me, so I will have to be brief. Carriacou and Petit Martinique is a tragedy. And it was a natural tragedy at first until it is now becoming a man-made tragedy. Where is all the money they say they have? How come that money not reaching the people of Carriacou? Every time the rain falls, you lie down in the bed and say, dear God, please protect the people of Carriacou. Please give the government wisdom to do what is required for the people of Carriacou. I heard my brother Cox speak a couple of weeks ago about it. It is no longer a natural tragedy of nature. It is now a man-made tragedy, what is happening in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And I call on the government to move quickly to get that money to the people where the money should be going. Brothers and sisters, crime. My brother Nimrod spoke about crime. And he spoke of the aspect of the policing of crime. I want to speak to another aspect of crime, which is the foundation causes of crime. I go to the courts every day. But there's a particular day I go to the courts when you have what they call juvenile court, once a month, where you see the youngsters with their mother facing the magistrate on issues of crime. And when you dig to the bottom of it, the programs that we had under the NNP have been abandoned to the extent that these young people have no hope. So what is happening? Money is not being invested in the Empower. I'm sure Sister Emlyn will speak to some of these programs. Monies are not being invested to train these young people. Money is not being invested in the probation department. I see the magistrates every juvenile day working to try to get these young people on the right course. The fact is, there is no help, and the magistrates are left to send persons to prisons who should not be going to prison. Because the fact is, the prison is an incubator for crime. You go in a young criminal, you come out a seasoned criminal. But this government recently passed some laws, and we warned them. As a result of this law, I had a youngster spend 2 weeks waiting for bail because of the new law. I urged them, I said to them in Parliament, I want you to come around the courts on Juvenile Day to see the impact of your legislation denying people bail. There's a youngster recently with a toy gun who had to spend 2 weeks in the lockup waiting for the judge for bail. And I'm not suggesting we be soft on crime. But politicians have to stop making it look like they do something and actually do something about crime. You're going in Parliament pretending you want to send everybody to jail for crime. Provide money to stop crime by investing in young people. That is what we need in this country. Many of the youth who are in the programs have gone back on the block with nothing to do. Mothers have to work harder now than before, so the youth are not being guided. Fathers have to work harder because money is so scarce. We need more programs for young people. And yes, I do represent them. I do represent them because the mothers come crying to me all the time to help them. And I help them, but I don't only help them in the court. We try as much as possible to channel them. I remember Sister Pierre called me recently with a youngster, tried to channel them in the right direction. We must all embrace our young people. So crime, I agree with my brother Nimrod in terms of interference, but also we have to get the question of rehabilitation, the question of training. We have to get all of these issues done, and that requires investment. The government said the Beausejour was pregnant when they came in. But that pregnancy in Bay ain't nothing good for people of Grenada. Not a good thing has been born out of that pregnancy with the Treasury had. Brothers and sisters, I just want to conclude by saying this. We need to organize. We need to prepare ourselves. You know how fast elections has come? Before you blink, it's here. I want to say to you tonight, just an observation, don't take it too hard. Don't be offended when I say what I'm about to say. Where are your children? Meaning we need to get your children into the party too. If we don't get the children of the NNP into the party will not move forward the way it should. So I'm urging you, when you go home, talk to the youth. When you talk in your party groups, talk about your own children. If your children say, Mommy, I ain't coming in a meeting because X, Y, Z, tell the party why they're not coming so we can make the necessary adjustments. Don't just ignore them. You know, sometimes you look at a house, I was saying, somebody was telling me the other day, you know the mistake you make, Peter, sometimes you look at a house and say, there's an NNP house. But only mommy and daddy you have, you know, where you think you have everybody. We need to have everybody in the house. You know how? You must listen to the young people. Don't just ignore them. Don't cuss them. Don't say, oh, you're too wicked. No. Talk to them as if you're campaigning. Here, young man, this is why you should support the party. Tell them about your own experience. Tell them about what the party has done for you. Tell them what the NNP government has done to improve your lives and to improve the country. Campaign in your house the same way you campaign out of your house. Don't leave the kids in the house going one direction and come out and try the campaign going in another direction, because the place we start, what they always say, charity starts at home. Campaigning starts at home. So that's just one point I want to make, because I'm not seeing anybody with their children next to them. You need to bring your children next to you when you come to these activities. Don't be offended. I'm just making a point. The other issue is this. We need to organize in our communities. NNP is a strong party. I have experienced all the parties. You know that. And the one thing I am delighted about NNP is that the real NNP represents the widest cross-section of people. From the workers, the farmers, the peasants, the businessmen, they are all in the NNP. I can't say that about the other parties. So I urge you, let us strengthen the party. I give my commitment. I give my commitment that I will do everything in my capacity as a member of the NNP to ensure that we are successful in the next election. But I alone, and Dr. Mitchell alone, and Mr. Nimrod alone, and Ms. Pierre alone can't do it. Each of us is a leader. Each of us here has to lead wherever we are, at your workplace, in your house, on the playing field, in the church, wherever you are. And you know what you need to do? Don't curse people away. Bring them to you. Bring them into the party. The only way we will win is by adding numbers. You can't subtract and add at the same time, can you? So don't subtract. Talk to them on the first day. It's like you meet your girlfriend on the first day, she might want to go a second date with you, but you talk. Eventually you'll get a date. Treat everybody as a potential voter. That is the only way we will win. And we not only have to win, we have to win strong. So, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, I want to thank you for having me. I am sorry that I may have to slip out early. Tonight is one of the birthday of one of my brothers, so I left and had to come here, but I couldn't resist coming here. So I'm going to that birthday activity, but I want to say to you, thank you for supporting the party, and I look forward to the celebrations of victory whenever that date comes. May God bless you.
NNP are 8. NNP are 8. Do you think that the NNP is the best party for Grenada? Do you think that we are the best party for the youths? And do you think that we are the best party for the economy? NNP are 8. We are here to be your voice, and we are here to rescue you. Our next speaker is a passionate advocate for education and community development. She has worked tirelessly to uplift and empower the people she represents. Her commitment to progress and her leaderships continue to inspire positive change. Please join in welcome my MP, Mrs. Emmeline Pear.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Okay, so I want to especially recognize tonight the political leader of the New National Party, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, your own parliamentary representative. Of course, my brothers, Peter David and Nimrod Oliver, on the platform tonight. I want to also recognize former members of parliament who are with us, Sister Lorena Waldron and Brother Victor Phillip. I recognize all of you this evening. You know, and as I said that, we have a way of how we treat people after they've served at the highest level. You know, and I'm praying that this is something we change in this country one of these days. Brothers and sisters, this evening, we gather recognizing that we have a right to do so. Nobody can stop us. Our fundamental democratic rights allow us the freedom of assembly. We can assemble at any time. We can speak on issues. That's all right. Unfortunately, sometimes, as I said before, you get the impression from some people that these rights are not being protected by the very people who should be protecting our democratic rights. And that is why I always say, let us not joke with the New National Party, because if you try to stifle these rights, if you try to trample upon these fundamental rights, as a party, we are going to find a way that our voices will be heard. And that is why this evening we are here with you, because we have an obligation to protect the democratic values of our country. We have an obligation as an opposition to scrutinize the government. You know, when I got into this 20 years ago, I understood very well that there are times that you would be in government and there are times you're going to be in opposition. That's what it's all about. Quite possible. Why? Because it is the voice of the people, it is the will of the people. That's what we respect. But I've always understood that wherever we are, in government or in opposition, we have a responsibility to represent the voice of people. So it doesn't matter where we are. And so we are currently in opposition. I understand absolutely so that we have a very important role to play in the development of this country. And so anybody, I don't care who they are, anybody who gives you the impression that an opposition's role is just to sit down and look at the government, or we should just be quiet, and we should just encourage them, and we should just tell them that everything they do is right. I'm telling you, anybody who presents this formula for opposition, it is either they are hypocrites or that they are really naive. They really don't know better. Because the very construct of our democracy makes room for a vibrant opposition. An opposition that would scrutinize the government. An opposition that would even be the alternative for the government in office. And so when we criticize, it's nothing to do with NNP and NDC. When we offer advice and solution, it is nothing to do with NNP and NDC. When we hold this government accountable, it is nothing to do with NNP and NDC, but it has everything to do with Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. That is why we do what we do, because we have a responsibility according to the Constitution of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So this evening, brothers and sisters, I want to share a bit with us on some of the things that we have noticed with this government as it relates to the policies. Some are new, some policies introduced, and some that are changed. And we have a very strong feeling that very often this administration makes changes to policy just to say that they're doing it different. Just to say, NNP did it this way, so we're going to do it that way. And even when something worked, we have seen efforts made to change just to say that we have changed. And that is why we have said to this administration, when changes are made to policies, you want to make sure that the people are better off. It's not about your social media credits and likes. It is not about ticking a box to say that you made a change and you did something new. You want to make sure that more people are benefiting from the changes that you make. So I want to touch on the very first policy decision that I'm still baffled about, made by this administration: free tuition. Brothers and sisters, I will 100% support this policy if more children are benefiting, if more children have an opportunity, and if no child is deprived as a result. So we would support anything that is in the best interest of our children. Under the new National Party's government, the program facilitated support for students who are in need. And we encourage those parents, we encourage those persons in communities, people like Ms. Waldron and others. We encourage them, support a child, help a child. You may have, but you might be in a position to help somebody else's own. That way the government resources could stretch and could support more students in other areas. So guess what? Some students got free tuition, but they also got free uniform, free books, free transportation, free lunch. I remember when we introduced even students going to SGU were receiving transportation assistance, even if they got a full scholarship from the government. Because you see, the NNP administration understands that you may have a free scholarship to go to SGU, but you might not be able to afford the cost of transportation from Monlong and Paraclete and La Poterie and Hermitage and Sautez. So even if you have a free scholarship, you need more. So we said, if you need the free scholarship, we're going to support you with that. But if you need more than the free scholarship to make it possible, we are also going to support you with that. But if you need the free scholarship and you don't need transportation, why should we give you transportation? So you know what one businessman said to me? This was someone who sponsored children free tuition every year. The government is now paying for his son to go to TAMCC. And he said to me, he done with that. Ms. Pierre, if it's free, why can't I benefit too? He said, I could afford, but if the government say free, I'm taking it. And that's the point I'm making. Because you see, these extra resources to people who are admitting they don't need it, could buy reagents for the lab in TAMCC, could provide support for students who want to go to New Low. Tuition is free, but they cannot afford the material for plumbing and for electronics or for air conditioning and refrigeration, whatever. Because you see, tuition by itself does not afford you the full access to education. And so we are saying that this policy is flawed, and this policy must be revisited. So if you have enough CBI money to give everybody free tuition, great. But no child must be deprived of an opportunity to access schooling because they do not have the other resources. But you know, the minute time I said that, somebody who is called upon to defend the government, cost it what it will, would say, well, some people needy and greedy, why they don't get up and help themselves? But I say to them, find out from families in the United States of America who are unemployed. Find out from families in the United States of America who are not in a position to help themselves at a certain point in time. Who helped them? The government of the United States of America. Because you see, the government understand that even if you're in the United States of America, some people still do need help. And that is what we want this administration to understand. Brothers and sisters, this administration introduced free barrel until, is it December? 2 free barrel. And this is a response, the government says, to Hurricane Beryl and people who have been affected, right? You know, absolutely nothing is wrong with that. If the government could afford for anybody, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, to access free barrels without paying concession, so be it, no problem. But I am saying this policy is flawed. If people who were not affected by the hurricane are able to benefit, and the people who are affected are still crying for basic help. So I'm saying you could afford it, do it, no problem. But when you are creating this policy, you must be thinking, how else can we provide support to persons who are seriously affected in other ways? So we are saying if you could afford, you can lose revenues. No problem if you could afford it. But we are saying that there are some serious issues affecting the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and those in the north particularly, that you have not yet seriously addressed. So brothers and sisters, when we speak about building back better, I found it very strange that the government says over 90% of people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique would have lost their homes, but the government choose to respond first to the mainland, and I'm happy for anybody on the mainland who gets housing assistance as a result of this project. I'm very happy. But you know what I said? Being sensitive in a crisis is important. So we could have launched on the mainland and in Carriacou and in Petit Martinique at the same time. Because you see, we have to be sending a message that we care about people. So while people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique are waiting, they are still looking in the supplemental for where their names are mentioned. St. Mark's is mentioned clearly, very good. St. Patrick's mentioned clearly, very good. But people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique are saying, we would have loved to see Carriacou and Petit Martinique listed clearly for support under the housing program. You know how insensitive, how much more insensitive could we get when a comment is made that people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique have money, they could afford to build back their house. I mean, come on now. Do you think that any normal thinking human being would sit in the rain getting wet and have money in the bank? You think people are normal will do this? You have loads of money in the bank and you sit down below a tent wetting. That's not the normal reaction of human beings. So this administration must know that empathy should drive them to investigate the situation, to assess the situation, to collect the necessary data of the situation to be able to make an informed decision. And there are some things, even if you think in it, you're not supposed to say it. Even if you think in it, when you are dealing with people, if you love people, it would never come out of your mouth. And so we are appealing to the administration. The weather is not nice. Move fast. You collected $118 million because of the visionary leadership of the new National Party government. And we are saying use that money quickly. Imagine St. Vincent, I don't want to repeat what I said last week, but I can't help it. I said it before. St. Vincent didn't receive $118 million, but they have repaired hundreds of houses already. We are saying use the resources that you have to rescue the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I don't know how people do this. I can't understand it. How could you feel comfortable making policy decisions that affect poor, ordinary people? But I guess that is what the people of Grenada wanted. Brothers and sisters, the policy of free lunch for every child. I've always said, again, if the government wants to tick a box to say we did something new, by all means, no problem. But you see, when you introduce a policy, when you make a policy of such importance, it should not be affecting so many people. So any person in this room who is old as I am or older would know, you're older, you're younger, any person in this room would know that the government of Grenada provided free meals to students in school. Students were asked to pay $1. Even teachers were benefiting and are benefiting from this program. And I remember we took a decision to say if a teacher chooses to benefit from this program and makes a financial contribution, nothing wrong with that. Yeah? So some teachers were paying $5, some were paying more, some schools had different programs. Brothers and sisters, when this administration did not understand that there is no child in Grenada who could not afford a meal, did not have a meal, was left without a meal, something had to be wrong. Because every principal in this country would tell you that they have sufficient empathy that when children came without the dollar, they were provided with lunch. And that has been there since, according to some people, since Jesus was a little boy. That's the policy that's been there. No problem. The government said, we want to change that and we want to give every child, doesn't matter if you could afford or not, every child, let us give every child. That's a big decision. You know that there are some children who could not afford food on Monday morning gone. And guess what? Last week, Monday, school reopened, and some children who came from needy families did not get food in school because of this new policy. In one school in my constituency, parents were told, give children lunch for 2 weeks until we sort out things with the program. Brothers and sisters, I'm saying, and get me right this evening, if the government wants to introduce a program to say free lunch for students, free lunch for neighbors, free lunch for the whole world, no problem. But it must not make the situation worse by the introduction of a policy. That's the point. So I'm calling on the government to get its act right. Move quickly, because there are children who genuinely depend on these meals. And there are parents who didn't mind. So think of a mother who leaves home 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning to catch a bus to go to St. George's. She appreciated the program because she knew that her daughter or her son was taken care of in school. Don't do things to make the thing worse. We are appealing to the government. Let's get it right. Brothers and sisters, I want to close this evening by reminding us that the people of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, decided through the ballot that they wanted a change in government. And as I said, that's people's right. But you know, when I reflect and when I listen to people, inclusive of people who are supporters of this administration, I am convinced that the many promises of the current administration is what would have driven some people to make a decision to support the current administration. I listened to them very carefully. So when you ask people right now, and mind you, many people did not vote for them. You're wondering who voted for NDC right now, because so many, not me. Yeah, I saw people who were rejoicing into the polling station. And you know how the saying, that, what you say, walk in and dance out? They walked in, they danced out, rejoicing. And when you ask them now, how you think the government do it? I don't know. I didn't put them there. Not me. But when you have a serious conversation with these people, you know what they say? We genuinely thought that this administration was going to approach governance differently. We genuinely thought that the things that they promised, that they were serious about delivering on them. So when the administration said, or then in opposition said, that every Imani trainee will be made permanent, I can't vex with any Imani in my constituency who voted NDC. I'm not going to get vexed with them. Because they truly believed. And you know what was very dramatic about the way that they made their promises? With the stroke of a pen. They added adjectives, descriptive words, so that people could understand how quickly they would move on the promises that they made. Who would have thought that Imani trainees who voted for permanent will now be home coming to ask you for assistance to feed their children? Who would have thought? Brothers and sisters, the current administration said to persons who were employed with the government back then, don't worry, Kit Mitchell and his team don't care about you. When we get there in the stroke of a pen, we are going to make everybody permanent. Brothers and sisters, today, these said people are saying they don't know what they were given to drink, because guess what? The government would not even have a conversation with the union to discuss the promise that was made during the campaign. But you know what? Trust will always be a factor in the election of a government. And so, brothers and sisters, those persons in the public service who felt that they were guaranteed permanent employment, even if we said, let us find a formula that could work for a win-win situations, workers happy, and the country can continue sustainable development. That's what we were saying. I appeal to this administration on behalf of our party. Sit down with the union that you love so much in 2022. Sit down with the union that you encourage to walk up and down the street protesting. Sit down with the union and discuss the future of the workers of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Brothers and sisters, the administration said to, and I cannot blame people who voted for NDC. I cannot, honestly. The administration promised people, you don't have a house, don't worry, because we're going to be building 500 every year. Don't worry. Grenadian-style houses are coming. Brothers and sisters, 2.5 years. And all we getting is 3D models on the internet. And we still await those houses. I say people need the Grenadian-style houses now. And I say that because, as I've always said, money is not the problem. You said to us that money is not the problem. So let us deliver on the promises that were made. Brothers and sisters, I close this evening by saying to you, our party understands its role. Our party would never abdicate its role. Our role is enshrined in the Constitution of this country, and nobody should allow you to feel as if you do not have a contribution to this country because you are in opposition. Nobody. And that is why if you're an NNP supporter out there and you're afraid to go to a public meeting, I say to you, you are allowing people to stifle your rights because you have a right to freedom of assembly. If you're an NNP supporter out there and you're afraid to use your real name on Facebook to express your own view, you are allowing others to trample on your rights that are enshrined on the Constitution of this country. If you're an NNP supporter out there and you are refusing to take advantage of a program and to demand that you need support, I am saying to you, the resources of this country are for Grenadians, Caricunians, and Pitimatnicians. Do not allow anybody to make you feel otherwise. Let us stand strong. Let us defend this country. Let us protect this country so that this country will go up, up, up. Vigilance of the opposition, scrutiny of the opposition, and the recommendations and the support that this opposition will give to represent the people of our country. God bless you. God bless you.
They said they can make things happen with a stroke of a pen. Well, brothers and sisters, I guess the pen ran out of ink. But brothers and sisters, we live and we learn. And the level of victimization outside here is real. And it's alarming. And my heart goes out to our brothers and sisters in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatnic. Brothers and sisters, it was never like this under the new National Party. Everyone was respected. Everyone had a voice. The new National Party understands the meaning of constructive criticism, because criticism inspires reflection and changes. Brothers and sisters, the NNP lives, breathe freedom of speech, hope, safety, and peace. And like Moses and the children of Israel, we will rescue you from the hands of Pharaoh. NNPites! I want to leave this here with you. And I live by this. Never be bullied into silence. Never allow yourself to be made a victim. Accept no one's definition of your life. Define yourself. Brothers and sisters, right now I want to introduce to you the man of the moment. A distinguished leader, a humble servant. He is known for his unwavering dedication to public service and his constituency. He has played a pivotal role in shaping the future of Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatnic. His legacy, brothers and sisters, of commitments and progress continues to inspire many. St. George's Northwest, St. George's Northwest, welcome, welcome your MP and our political leader, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell.
That sister fiery. Yes. My brothers and sisters, let me recognize, of course, my colleagues on the platform, Sister NNP, who spoke so eloquently on issues that I'm sure you understand. And of course, Brother Nimrod, Brother Peter has left us. But I want to thank you all for coming and braving the weather at this time, because I know what is happening outside there. I want to thank Brother Cecil, who has consistently been, over the years, one of the stalwarts, as he pointed out, of supporters of the new National Party. Friends, first of all, we are here tonight. It's the first of several meetings that we will be having from now right to the end. We can get rid of what is torturing Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Every Thursday and every Sunday, there would be a major activity of the party in a constituency. We are starting off here with Baton first. This is the first Thursday. Sunday coming would be the women's activity. So that will be seen as part of the Thursday, Sunday activity for the next. But every Thursday and every Sunday, we'll have one such meeting. And they will be streamed live, and certain media houses may be carrying it also. So the message is not only for those who are in the audiences, like you are here tonight, but it's also for people throughout the social media, throughout the length and breadth, and those outside of Grenada who are conscious of what is taking place and want to keep in touch with what is taking place in our country. I just want to make one point to say to you that this is 40 years that I've been given the right to represent the special people of Northwest St. George's. 40 years. On December 3rd this year would represent that 40 years, the end of that 40 years, December 3rd. And I will always feel, my brothers and sisters, that the confidence that you have given in supporting me through rain, thunder, lightning, you have been there for me. I will never forget. In 1990, when the NNP was decimated throughout the country, and I felt sorry for myself. When I listened to some results in certain parts of the country, it felt like bingo numbers. And I tell you this, I gave up a lot in the United States to come back home. And I tell you here tonight, if it was not for the people of Northwest St. George's, I would have left Grenada after 1990. Because despite the tremendous losses that the NNP suffered throughout the length and breadth of the country, the people of Northwest St. George's gave me 73% of support at that time. So how could anyone abandon such commitment, as Brother Cecil mentioned tonight? Commitment, love, support. So this is tonight is almost like a tribute to you for that support that you have given me, have made me strong. you have made me what I am today, sisters and brothers. Give yourself a round of applause. You made me what I am today. All of you. But sisters and brothers, we are facing a crisis in this country now. We are leaderless right now. In 2013, when the NNP came back into government, when I went to the Treasury, and that was coming to almost to the end of the month, February. When I went to the Treasury to find out, because salaries have to be paid, friends, no money in the Treasury. So we could not pay salaries at the end of that month. But you know, we just won the elections, right? So I can't go and tell people, well, we just win the election, and therefore we have no money to pay salary. People have their commitment. So what the hell do we, what do we do with the expectation of people, although they're joyous that they have a change in government, they expect their salaries to be there at the end of the month. So I called a few of my friends in the region, and then they told me, boy, Prime Minister Owen Arthur Barbados, I remember, was a close friend. He said, kid boy, the only place I tell you, you better call Kamala in Trinidad, because Trinidad is the only place that have that kind of money, because I have to pay salaries. So I made a call to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and she said to me, well, I understand the situation, so come down to Trinidad and to talk to the cabinet, because I alone would not want to make that decision. And I spoke to key members of the cabinet, and within a week, we had $20 million US put into the treasury of Grenada so we can pay salaries and to meet our commitment. I'm making this point to say this. These characters in government today, they came into government and they themselves say they made a pregnant treasury, over $500 million. They just got, because of the decision we took after Ivan struck us, and we had to go begging all over the world. And we say we must not find ourselves in that situation in the future if God forbids, we have another disaster. So we invested in that CRIF program. We joined it, sisters and brothers, we initiated it. Yes, some of them in government, some of them, they weren't even born yet, maybe at the time. Or they were so small, they didn't know what going on in Grenada. They say it is not NNP. Because of the NNP vision, they got $118 million. $118 million in just 14 days after Beryl struck. And they, as Brother Nimrod told you, and Peter, I think, advanced it too. My friends, they criticize us for CBI program, and we are very careful not giving passport to everybody. So in several years, we are very careful. They come in 2 years, they have given about 5 times more passport in sales than we gave in several years of government. And they were the ones criticizing the CBI program. You see the type of people now in government today? The point I'm making is, you have all that money left for you. We had nothing when we got there. You get $118 million, and you have hundreds of millions of dollars from selling passports, as you see. So you have money for so. Carriacou and Peter Martinique suffered enormously. Parts of Grenada got some life. The farmers got hit. But Carriacou and Peter Martinique got a brunt physical damage. With all that money, up to now, after a few months, you can't see nothing happening in Carriacou and Peter Martinique. Only a set of money for cleanup, and for this, and for that, and for that, while people are suffering. Because there's a group of people in government that simply do not care. They have no love. Their entrance into government was about themselves. What they could get and the life that they could live, while you pay the price. That is what we have in government today. Sisters and brothers, it worries me a bit that we had leaders in this country who struggled. Eric Gary had to fight revolution and struggle. Went through all sorts of pain and problems. But to become Prime Minister of this country. Whatever you can say about Robert Blaze, he was there in the struggle. In opposition to Gary for over 40 years. So he understood struggle, sisters and brothers. So every prime minister in this country of the past went through a period of struggle to become leader of the country. In 2022, you voted for somebody that never made a serious contribution to development of Grenada. No struggle, no source of sacrifice. My friends, that one is on us, because he didn't take a gun and put it in our heads. We sat there and gave him power over us, so he's enjoying it and doing what he feels. So making this point to say that we cannot make those mistakes again. I have spent 40 years in government representing a constituency. So I'm not likely to be there much more longer than that again. So I'm making the point that must not happen again, whether or not I am around in this politics. Our children's future must always be at the back of our minds when we're making decisions about the future of our country. Those we put in charge of government are responsible for creating jobs to see that we can live responsibly. They are responsible for developing our education system, so that our people can be empowered to have the jobs of the 21st century and beyond. They are responsible for taking care of the health care so that we can live a healthiest possible life. And they're responsible for the security and safety of all of us. So when you're making a decision, it cannot be about who sung nice and who looked new and who could talk nice by itself. It's about who care, who love people, and who care for this beautiful country called Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martinique. My friends, and these guys come, and the vindictiveness, we have never seen more vindictiveness. And they want to make you afraid, some people afraid to come to a meeting. Man, do not allow any man to take out your right to speak and to attend any meeting that you want to. This is a country that people fought for freedom.
our democracy. We must not play with that, and we must not take it for granted. Our children and grandchildren will not forgive us if we sit down and let some characters in government today make us afraid of our rights. My friends, fair politics never work. The revolution was in Grenada. They had guns. And when they had people who would just pick you up and put you in Richmond Hill, they can't do that today. What happened to the revolution? What happened to the revolution? With all this fear, with all this physical fear in the country, that fell through, sisters and brothers. So this thing in government today, sisters, and these characters in government today must not be allowed to make you afraid for your rights. And I will not keep my mouth shut. You notice something? We are in opposition. We have a government in office, and some people only cussing NNP still. They ain't cussing the government who destroying the country and making you suffer. Keith Mitchell literally resting. I say nothing, yet they still calling me name. They can't leave me alone. They don't know something. When you see an ant's nest, don't touch it, because when he get to rise, he gonna bite you. Sisters and brothers, when I spoke a while ago, I told you about the series of meetings. We are going to be active, because we cannot allow this present thing in government today to put pressure on our people and don't sit down and wait for 5 years. Sisters and brothers, you have to be active. Your voices must be heard, because when you see them with all this focal fear, they themselves are coward, you know. Anytime you see a man playing a lot of voos, he's the first man before he hear noise, he's running. You know that? The more you hear a man play bad, just hear a firecracker pass, man take off like Usain Bolt. So, stand up for your rights, my dear sisters and brothers. The arrogance in government, the hate. I came to the parliament the last session, and because I spoke about what is right, they decide I must not speak. I must not speak. So clearly, I leave in the parliament. One of the members walked out. I was being interviewed by a reporter, and the gentleman come out outside and jump up between me and the reporter, and like a crazy man. I said, but I have never seen that kind of behavior in my 40 years in the parliament of this country. That is the type of people that is representing this country today. My friends, that's why I say we have to stand up for our rights. We cannot expect Emily Pierre, Elvin Nimrod, Peter David, and others to stand up if we are afraid to stand up for our children and grandchildren's future. That is our fundamental responsibility, my friends. My friends, you had an economy that was working for you. With all the problems of nothing in the treasury, we took that country from nowhere, my friends. And in 2019, the IMF and the World Bank and so on gave me and Grenada, they said, that is the best Minister of Finance in the region, my friends, #1 prize. It was not me that were given the prize, you know. It was you, the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. I was just the person receiving that award. Because I understood where we took the country from and where we had it at that particular time. My friends, we managed the economy of the country. We had savings to the point that we were able to invest in projects. With all the CBI, so-called CBI passports that are being sold, where are the projects? Have you seen any project? So where is all that money? The question you have to ask, where are all this money? My friends, this is a serious business, you know. We sold at 1/5 in how many years that they have sold in just 2 years. But we have several projects started because the money that came from those CBI thing was invested. We show that investors put down and use the resources of this passport sale in development so that jobs can be created and our economy was moving forward. That is what the New National Party did. I saw a recent report. We used to balance our books to the point that we had surpluses. Yet, you had thousands of people on the road working at different periods in the country. When you pass around Beausejour or any part of the country, shops are packed on a Thursday evening, a Friday evening, a Saturday evening. Pass them now. Every place look like a funeral home, sisters and brothers, those shops. What is happening to our country? You're not worried. You take a drive around your country, sisters and brothers. You just drive around your country. And you wonder whether Grenada is in an ice box. Places that you used to see young men and young people relaxing and having fun with each other and so on and having a drink. You can't see nobody there. What is happening to our country? And these guys have millions of dollars playing with. You have to ask some serious questions, my friends. The question, therefore, is the road ahead. Friends, we have been examining the electoral list because don't be afraid. I'm telling you this. We are hearing that they could be planning to have a snap election. So I'm warning us, don't take chances. That voters list that we just saw has to be scrutinized because we see a lot of names there that nobody seems to know. Who are these people? So we are working on those lists and we're doing it throughout the length and breadth of the country. We're doing it in Northwest St. George's, but we're doing it in every constituency around the country. We have to start that process. We have asked Brother bain-horsford, as a leading lawyer, to take leadership of that. But each of us, my friends, must be part of that process. It cannot be left to those of us up here or the leadership members of the leadership of the party. It is your interest, just like it's our interest. So every one of us, it says, we have to be our brother's keeper, so to speak, my friends. So we have to scrutinize this list because we know, they know, that if it is left to the people living in Grenada, they could never win an election coming forward. But if they could pad the list with people outside of the country, and you here under the pressure that they're putting on you, and you bring them in just the time of an election and vote them back, if we allow it, then we are the guilty ones. So we I am issuing a call tonight, friends. Let's get ready to deal with the voters list, because the law is clear. You have to be here for at least a year in the country before you can register if you are a Commonwealth citizen. Clearly, a Grenadian is a Commonwealth citizen also, as you know. So I'm making this point. Let us not play with this. Similarly, friends, we have to organize. We have to organize in every constituency. I think we are too quiet, sisters and brothers. They believe that people are afraid to stand up for their rights. If you give a coward too many rope, you know what will happen? We have to stand up and do what we have to do. Because all we have to do is stand up for our rights. And the result will be clear. Because if this theory goes, cowards die many times before their death. Just remember that phrase. My friends, we cannot understand when we were in government. We spend millions of dollars. Easter time, over 6,000 people on the roads. Working. 6,000 people. Over 5 and 6 fortnights, friends. Come in August time, the same thing again, friends. Coming to October, going down the line for Christmas, thousands of people. Because you know why? And sometimes people come to me and say, Doc, but some of the people not working. I say, they're not doing enough work. I say, let me tell you this. I hear you, and everyone should work for the money they're receiving. But I find it strange. There are people in this country making thousands of dollars and then doing no damn work. And you ain't come and say a word about them. These poor people who are getting $1, and when they get that dollar, they spend it in the shop. They go by the tailor. They spend it all over the country. Its money spins around in the country. And that's how you see the country moves forward. When poor people have money, they don't keep it. It is circulated all around the country of Grenada, Carriacou. But you see, these guys doesn't understand basic economics, my friends. They don't have a clue. All they're thinking about is themselves. So we established what we call the brigade, friends, to help the people who want to help the houses to fix. They got rid of many of them because it is perceived that's an NNP thing. It is not about NNP, it's about the country. It's about Grenada. But they don't think about this. This perception that you have to get rid of every NNP, my friends. I don't know how these guys feel. They expect to come up in the street and beg people for vote next election. Grenada is a family society. Sometimes you believe you fire one NNP man. That man have a lot of family who voted NDC. You hurt them too. But they don't understand this. So they dig in their own political grave with the vindictiveness being operated in government today. But my friends, the time will come. The time will come, my friends. We had established small business loans in GDB. It was not based on who you support. No one could ever come to my office that I had in Beausejour and tell me because that person didn't vote for you, they don't need to get help. No one in my history of 40 years, no one could come and tell you that I have ever done that. And if someone in my political party that I led for that period and had reports that they did anybody this, I would call them and say, I can't be part of this. A man's right to vote who he wishes to vote. at the time of an election, that is his fundamental right. I will try to get him to support me and the political party that I serve. But I cannot want to victimize that brother or sister because he or she did not vote for me. Our God will not like such action. So small businesses, we had so many small businessmen, or farmers got loans, or fishermen got loans, and so on. Today, these guys, and I heard the minister saying that members of parliament and directors have a right to get loan in GDB too. The law is clear. We as ministers had no such right. So I don't know what's going on in this country. Things are so fundamental. How could you sit there in charge of a fund as a director of a bank and wanting loan for yourself? So you're giving yourself loan from the people's money. That is so fundamentally, morally bankrupt. But what is happening here in Grenada today, my friends, we have to watch that. I used to call our friends in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I feel sorry for them because I cannot understand. Your helicopter and every minute you're going to Carriacou. What you going there for? It's not about your presence. It's not about your helicopter. It's not about how you dress, how you look. It's about the people. What you're doing for the people of the country, my friends. But that's not in their minds. Everything on social media, every time you pass, they take your picture and they're putting it out on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and all the different social media platforms. Because how they look, it's about themselves, not about you. Some people have to call them and tell them, well, you came and talked to me, I never tell you to put my picture on. And they're not asking permission, you know. My friends, but I want to make this point here. My friends, recently we had 2 resignations from the Senate. And I'm not going to come here and not talk about this because we have nothing to hide. My friends, throughout the 23 years that I was Prime Minister of this country, we have had people in the Senate serving. And as the party gets prepared for general elections, as we have to do now, if you are in the Senate and you are not going to be running, as both members said, then it means that there has to be some change. And in each time, we have had several persons in the Senate who resigned. Because the alternative is, friends, if there has to be a change, when I was Prime Minister, and I had to make change with senators that the government side wants to change, I would have to revoke their appointment and then appoint somebody else. It means I have to fire them. You understand? You understand where I'm coming from? In opposition, because I am the one the Constitution says that recommends the appointment of senators. So if they have to move and they do not resign, then it means I have to revoke the appointment and put additional new persons in. that most likely will be going forward in a general elections. The point I'm making is NNP do not treat his people like others do. You know what happened recently? A minister was called into cabinet, was fired in cabinet, and had police come and escort him out. My friends, even if I have difficulty with the individual, I don't treat people that way. So my friends, I understand that all kinds of things are being said. Oh, these people fed up with NNP and they're fed up. Oh my God, listen. NNP can only go from strength to strength and more strength, sisters and brothers. NNP treats its party people differently than some other persons do. So, if you hear those foolishness being said, debunk them, my friends. So I hope I have spoken on this matter. My brother Nilan has come to me and said he wants to go and study, to continue his education, and I went and got a fullest education before I took full time into politics. And I respect that right for his future, and I will continue to give all the support I can that is in my powers to be. So that is how I operate, my friends. So I want you to be clear if anyone come in with a false propaganda. And I want to tell you this. They are projecting NNP have fight for leadership. NNP have fight for leadership? Huh? NNP have fight for leadership? I am the leader of the NNP. My friends, nobody will be fighting Keith Mitchell for leadership of the NNP. Get it straight. Nobody is so foolish to fight me for leadership of the NNP. My legacy is written down there. Get it right, my friends. And therefore, those who are making up stories about fighting NNP, tell them another Nancy story, my friends. When the time comes, I will inform you. I will inform you. And the first people that would know is the people of Northwest St. George's, my friends. I owe you first. So before I make an announcement that I'm no longer seeking the leadership of the new National Party, I will come to you first and tell you I intend to make that announcement. So and so time and so place, my friends. This is what I owe you because of the service and commitment that you have given me and the love you have shown me over the years. I will never be able to turn my back on those people who have given me and made me who I am today. When I began my presentation this evening, I told you that. You made me who I am today. So I never worry. The sacrifice of living in Washington with all the privileges, I have never regretted it, my friends, because of the love and support that you've given me. And therefore, my friends in Northwest, listen, we have to get moving and start serious work. We have to show people that we're ready to take back our country. And I will be there with you, leading that fight, sisters and brothers. leading that fight, sisters and brothers, because we're afraid of no man. We're afraid of no man, my friends. And therefore tonight, I want to thank you again for your love, your support, your commitment that you have given me. You have made me, as I said, who I am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much for that love. I love you. Take care and get home safely. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc, for your years of service. Our children's future must be at the back of our minds when making decisions regarding who runs the country. Dr. Mitchell just said that, and I want us to keep that in mind. NNPIs, I urge you to stay strong. Just a bit of announcement. In celebration of our 40 years, the new National Party is having a women's forum on Sunday, 15th September, which is this Sunday, at the St. John's Anglican School at 2:30 p.m. Please note that there will be a very, very special guest from St. Lucia, Senator Dr. Angelina Fira-Polias from the United Workers' Party. So we urge you to come out in your numbers and be inspired. Remember, brothers and sisters, unity is strength. At this time, I call upon Ms. Zina Paisadi to do the vote of thanks.
A pleasant good night to everyone. We want to say a special thank you to everyone that made it out tonight. Your presence reflects your commitment to our shared goals and to the future of our country. I would like to also thank our esteemed speakers for their insightful remarks and for highlighting the critical issues we face as a society and country. Your leadership and vision inspire us to continue working together for the betterment for our country. I want to also encourage the youth to be the vision, be the change, be the voice that we are meant to be, to see our country grow for the betterment of our beautiful island. Let's build back bigger and stronger. Finally, to all our supporters, volunteers, and online audience, your contributions, both big and small, remind us that it is through unity and collective action that we can achieve lasting change. As we leave today, may we continue to work together with unity, purpose, and vision for the future of our nation. Thank you, and let's keep the momentum going.
Thank you, Sister Zina. I just want to add that we love you, we love you, we love you, and we appreciate you so very much. At this time, I invite Sister Nola Wellington to do the closing prayer.
Good night, everyone. Let us pray. Kind and Heavenly Father, we come before you this night to give you thanks and praise for bringing us here tonight. And we ask, Lord, as we prepare to leave, that you be with us and each and every one of us as we return home. Please give us a safe journey. Father, in your words says in Psalms 34:6, the poor man cried, and he heareth his cry, and deliver him from his troubles. Lord, give us the perseverance, give us the patience to wait on that time when you will deliver us from the hands of our enemies. We thank you, Lord, and we praise you because your word are true. And Lord, when the poor man cry, you hear. And I know that one day you will deliver us. And that day will be soon. So we thank you and we praise you, dear Lord, while we wait for that deliverance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and get home safe.